Pull up your paycheck. Look at it. Really look. Do you know what every line means? Do you know why your taxes are calculated the way they are? Do you know what your employer is supposed to tell you and what they're allowed to hide? Probably not. And here's the part that should make you angry. They taught you the Pythagorean theorem. They made you memorize the periodic table. They tested you on the difference between metaphor and simile. But the single most important document of your adult life, the document that determines whether you build wealth or stay stuck, nobody ever explained to you. That's not an accident. Today's lesson: why millions of Americans work full-time jobs and still feel financially stuck. Not because they don't work hard, because the rules of money were never explained to them, while modern life became more complicated than most people were ever prepared for. I'm Professor Failthrough. This is the show where we tear apart the systems nobody bothered to explain to you. Every week, one lesson the school system skipped. One rule the rich already know. One thing that changes the moment you understand it. Today's lesson is the big one, the one everything else builds on. Why working full-time doesn't feel like enough anymore. Why the paycheck disappears before you understand what happened to it. And why none of this is your fault. Let's start where they should have started. By the time the average American graduates high school, they've spent 12,000 hours in a classroom. 12,000. In that time, they've learned algebra, geometry, the American Revolution, cell mitosis, the plot of The Great Gatsby. Here's what they've never had a single mandatory class on. How to read a paycheck, how taxes actually work, what a 401k is or how it grows, how credit scores are calculated, how to negotiate a salary, what a deductible is, how interest on a credit card compounds, what an index fund is, the difference between gross and net income, how to read a lease, what renter's insurance covers. 12,000 hours of school. 0 on how money actually works. So here's what nobody asks out loud. If your family didn't have money, if your parents weren't teaching you these things at the dinner table, when exactly were you supposed to learn them? The answer the system gives is figure it out. Make mistakes. Pay the tuition of being broke. So you graduate, you get a job, the paycheck hits the account. For a second, it feels like relief. Then the money starts disappearing. Rent, insurance, subscriptions, gas, groceries, minimum payments, another automatic charge you forgot existed. And somehow, the paycheck that was supposed to change everything barely survives the month. Here's what most people don't realize. Being broke doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks normal. A car payment, a few subscriptions, food delivery twice a week, minimum payments, streaming services, cloud storage, buy now, pay later, a gym membership nobody canceled. Tiny charges people barely notice anymore. Individually, none of them feel dangerous. Together, they quietly consume entire paychecks. And the system designed it that way. Apple Pay, Tap to Pay, one-click checkout, those weren't accidents. Behavioral economists figured out decades ago that the less physical friction attached to spending, the easier it becomes psychologically. So they removed the friction, on purpose. The cash in your wallet that you had to count out? Gone. The signature on a credit card slip that made you pause? Gone. Now, it's just a tap. And by design, you barely feel it leave. That's the real trick. Spending used to feel like spending. Now it feels like nothing at all. Here's the second thing they never explained. For most people, income increases don't create freedom. They create larger obligations. A better car, a more expensive apartment, higher subscriptions, lifestyle inflation, more convenient spending. The raise disappears faster than expected. That's why people earning decent incomes still feel financially stressed. Financial pressure is not only about income. It's also about recurring obligations. Now layer on debt. Most debt doesn't start with recklessness. It usually starts with normal life. A medical bill, a car repair, a slow month, an emergency, inflation. Then interest starts compounding. And eventually, people stop paying for purchases, they start paying for the cost of being behind. Credit card interest, late fees, minimum payments, overdraft charges. The system has a name for this in private. It's called perpetual minimum. A customer making only the minimum payment is the most profitable customer a credit card company has. They will pay back the original purchase 3, 4, 5 times over, and the balance never goes down. Debt quietly turns temporary stress into long-term drag, and the people charging you the interest, they studied exactly how to keep you there. So why does all of this feel so exhausting? Because modern financial life now requires constant attention. Bills, passwords, due dates, credit utilization, insurance renewals, taxes, budgeting, subscriptions, auto-pay settings, emergency savings, and most people are trying to manage all of it while working, commuting, raising families, surviving inflation, dealing with stress. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in money admin, even though you have a full-time job, you're not imagining it. And you're not bad at money. The system became complicated faster than anyone was given tools to understand it. That's the insider truth nobody says out loud. Financial exhaustion is not a personal failure. It's the predictable outcome of a system that was never designed to be explained to you. Here's the part most people never figure out. The people who escape this early aren't smarter than you. They didn't work harder than you. Usually, they just got 2 things you didn't. Someone who explained how it actually works and the structure to act on it before the system caught them. That's what the next part of this video is. So you're 25, or 35, or 50, and you just realized you spent 12,000 hours learning things that won't help you build wealth, while modern life was quietly engineered to drain your paycheck before you could think about it. What now? 3 moves. Move 1. Audit what you actually know versus what you assume you know. Pull up your last paycheck. Can you explain every single line? If no, that's gap 1. Pull up your credit report. Do you know your score? Do you know the 5 factors that determine it? If no, gap 2. Open your retirement account if you have one. Do you know what you're invested in? Do you know what fees you're paying? If no, gap 3. Map the gaps. You can't fix what you can't see. Move 2. Replace 1 consumption hour with 1 education hour every week. That's it. Pick 1 financial topic per week. Taxes, investing, credit, real estate, insurance, and spend 1 hour learning it instead of 1 hour scrolling. In a year, you'll have studied 52 topics. In 2 years, you'll be more financially literate than 95% of Americans. Here's the part most people miss. The people who actually manage money well aren't more motivated than you. They've just reduced the number of decisions they have to make. Automatic savings, automatic investing, separate accounts, subscription audits. Long-term financial stability comes from systems, not from constant motivation. The system was designed to exhaust you. The answer is to build a smaller, simpler system of your own that runs on autopilot. That's the real shift. Move 3, and this is the one nobody wants to hear. Stop treating money as taboo. The reason wealthy families compound wealth across generations is not magic. It's that they talk about it openly, at the dinner table, parents to kids, friends to friends, spouses to each other. Most working-class American families treat money conversations as rude, as if asking what someone earns is more offensive than not knowing how compound interest will determine whether you retire. That cultural rule was not invented by accident. It benefits the same people who built the system that left you here. Break the rule. Talk about money. Out loud. With everyone who matters to you. That's how the system finally starts to change. Here's the truth. The system that failed to teach you this stuff is not going to suddenly fix itself. The school board is not going to vote in a paycheck literacy class next semester. Your employer is not going to send you a memo explaining how your benefits actually work. The bank is not going to call to make sure you understand the interest on your credit card. The app charging you 99 cents a month is not going to remind you it exists.
Nobody is coming.
The good news: you don't need them. Every system that was hidden from you can be learned in an hour. Every rule the wealthy know was written down somewhere. You just need someone to point you at it. That's what this show is. If today's lesson taught you something nobody else bothered to explain, hit subscribe, because the system isn't going to teach your kids either.
But you can.
Class isn't over yet. Follow so you don't miss the next lesson.